everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell from the title, this is an update on my PCOS and metformin experience, and it's good news because I am pregnant. So I'm filming this on Christmas Eve, and this video won't be going up until February sometime probably. I'll be like 14 or so weeks by then, so I'm imagining that's about the time that I would upload this video. I don't know if I'm going to do updates about pregnancy. I haven't really decided, so this might be the only video relating to this, but I have no idea. This is just what I'm filming at this stage. So I'm 8 weeks today, so I'm going to be talking about my whole experience for the last 6 weeks basically. Well, longer than that actually, because I have to update you on the whole metformin thing. So if you haven't watched my first video about all of this, then I recommend you go and watch that, because it kind of has my background on everything, finding out I had PCOS and starting metformin. So definitely go check that out. And also I 100% know this is going to be a really long video. I did think maybe I could put it into 2 videos, but I don't think I'm going to bother doing that. So just prepare yourself for a very long video. I also feel like this video could get a little rambly and I could go off on random tangents, so prepare for that also. So I guess I'll start kind of where the last one left off. In the last video I had just had my period for the first time since going off the pill in April, and I'm like 99.999% sure that it was because of metformin. I started metformin in September and had a period 4 weeks later. So I had to go back to the doctor to get a repeat prescription, because they only give you a small amount of metformin to start off with just to make sure it's all good, and then you go back and you get like a longer dose. So I went back and I was glad that I could go back and actually had like an update to say that I'd had my period and everything. So I did that, and then I asked her to give me referrals for blood tests to see if I was ovulating. So from day 21, I went every week to get blood tests to see if I was ovulating. If you see me looking down, I'm looking at my app to try and remember dates and everything. So I did mention in my last video that I use the Flow app to calculate my cycle and everything. So the first ovulation blood test that I got was on the 31st of October, and that came back negative. Then I went back a week later on the 7th of November and it was negative again. So then I was like, right, I'm going to go one more time and then I'm not going to keep going because that's just annoying and I don't want to. So I went back on the 14th and my blood test came back as negative, but it was higher than the other two. So when you go for an ovulation blood test, they test your progesterone, and both first times I went it was like under 1. I can't remember the unit. I know it's different like in the States and in New Zealand, but to confirm ovulation it has to be over 25. So when I went on the 14th it came back as 7, and it's not enough to confirm that I was ovulating, but it seemed like something was happening. I wasn't going to go back but my doctor said I should, because she wanted to see if it was going to increase the next week. So then I went back on the 21st of November, and I found out a couple days later that I had ovulated and that the number was 56, so that was pretty high. And when I saw that I was like, does that mean anything, like that it's so high? Because if it's meant to be 25 to confirm ovulation, then obviously 56, it's like more than double. But I didn't really think too much about it. And my doctor had said if I didn't get my period the next week to do a pregnancy test, and kind of from that moment I just knew, well, I knew that I wasn't going to get my period. I just didn't feel like I was going to get my period, and I don't know, it's really hard to explain. So the only symptoms that I noticed that were like different that week was at the beginning of that week I couldn't stop eating everything. And yeah, that's not that unusual for like pre-having a period, but I had to go to the supermarket every day after work and get like chocolate of some form. Like, I don't know, I hadn't done that in so long that it was kind of something that I thought was a little bit strange, but then I just thought, well, I could be getting my period. And then on the Friday I went into the office. I only go to the office once a week, otherwise I work from home, and I wear like black jeans that they don't have like a button and zip or anything. They're just kind of like tight black jeans, and then it's just like a waistband kind of thing, but it's quite tight. And that day at work, like, it was really tight, and I couldn't believe how tight it was. So I guess I was just like bloated, but normally my jeans would still be fine. Like, it was really painful. And that day I was kind of like, because I forgot to take my metformin before I went to work, and I was like, oh well, it's not working anyway, because I hadn't had my ovulation results then. So I was just like, obviously it's not working. And I just like given up. But then when I got home that night, my doctor texted me and said that I had ovulated. So it's always when I've kind of like given up and I'm like, it's not working, nothing's going to happen, I'm just going to not worry about it for a few months that something happens, which is always the way. So then on the Saturday is when I started to have more symptoms, and I just kind of, I don't know if it's like in my head because I knew I'd ovulated, but I just didn't feel like I was going to get my period. Like, it just wasn't the same feelings, and I just, in a way, I felt like I kind of knew that I might be pregnant. So the main thing that happened over the next couple of days, like, I didn't really have anything too much, but I still don't know what this is, and I still have it. And it's like when I sneeze or cough or move, I have like these pains on the sides of my lower abdomen. And I've talked to my doctor about it, and she didn't really know what it could be either, because I don't think it's where my ovaries are, but I have no idea where my ovaries are, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what that is, and it's still going on, so who knows. But that was like the one thing I noticed where I was like, why do I have some random pains down there? And they aren't really like pains, it's like pressure and tightness when I sneeze or cough or whatever. So I don't know, but that was the main thing that I noticed, that I was like, this is kind of weird. Yeah, at this point I still wasn't really sure what was going to happen, but I just had this feeling that I wasn't going to get my period. So then on the Tuesday of the next week, I did just like have this feeling that I knew I was pregnant, and I was going to take a test in the afternoon, but I know they tell you to take it with your first urine in the morning. So I was like, no, I'm just going to wait it out until the morning. So I waited until the next morning, and over that past week, I'd been waking up at 5 a.m. every day. I don't know why that was. I don't know if it's anything. It's still happening now. But normally I'd wake up at like 6:30 or 7, but I was just waking up wide awake at 5 a.m. every day. Still am. And so I woke up at 5, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do a test today. So I waited an hour. Don't really know why. And then at 6 a.m. I got up and decided to take a test. So I did a first response test, and when I started the stopwatch on my Fitbit, I was like, I'm not going to look for 3 minutes because it's a 3-minute one. So I'm not going to look the whole time. And then I started my stopwatch, and out of the corner of my eye I saw the test when it was like not even a minute, and it was dark. Like, it was a really dark line. So it was positive, and I was like not shocked because I had a feeling that it was going to be positive, but it was still like crazy to see that it definitely was positive. I was alright. Like, I worked that day, and then at midday I hadn't told Jordan yet. I was going to tell him that night, even though he was home when I did the test. I just let him go to work and then worry about it later. So I went out on my lunch break, and I bought a couple of things for him. Like, I bought for him, for the baby really, some onesies and a book, like a little kid's book that was about dads and the baby and stuff, so I thought that was kind of cute. And then I wrapped it all up with the pregnancy test inside it and gave it to him. Well, he actually came home and then went out for dinner with family, and then once he came home, so it was like 8:30 by the time I told him. But so I wrapped it all up, and then I was like, I've got a present for you. And I did film it. I'm not going to include it in this video because it's kind of just for us, but I did want to keep it as like a memory, and it's really cute. I'm glad that I filmed it. So I filmed him opening it, and he was really happy. So I had planned to tell my mum after I told Jordan, but after I went out and got the stuff at midday, I was like, I'm just sitting here with my own thoughts, I need to tell someone. So I rang my mum and told her, but she is the only person that we'd told until we plan to tell everybody after the 12-week scan. Just want to make sure everything is all good. Like, I know sometimes with PCOS and stuff there can be higher risk of miscarriage and stuff, so we just want to be 100% sure that everything's all good. I did end up going to the doctors 2 days later because my doctor just wanted to check in with me, since I guess she'd had a lot to do with like my blood tests and everything over the last few months. So I did stop metformin immediately. The nurse told me to when I talked to her. And then yeah, I went into the doctors and I got a blood test. Never got those results, so I assume they're all good. And she told me to book in for a 6-week scan because we, I guess, had an idea of when, like how far along I was, but because it had been so long since my period, we didn't know for sure. Like, I don't have a 28-day cycle or anything, so it was best to get a scan done just so we could really confirm the due date, which I was happy about anyway, because I could never understand why, like, I've watched heaps of videos, I watch a lot of like mum YouTubers and stuff, and I could never understand why after you did one pregnancy test people would go and do like 10 more. Like, what's the point? It's positive, that's it. Totally understand now. Every time we went to the supermarket I was like to Jordan, I might just get another pregnancy test just to check. He's like, no, you don't need to. So I only got one the next day, and it was one of the digital ones that told you like how many weeks and stuff, so I did that. But that one's kind of lame because the result goes away after 24 hours anyway, so it was like $20 and then it doesn't even stay up, so kind of pointless. I wouldn't do that again. So I booked in for when I assumed that I was going to be 6 weeks, which was the 10th of December, and I had to get a internal scan and like a normal ultrasound scan as well on your stomach. Because it was so early, they do have to do an internal one, which I was like, I really don't want to do this, but it was fine. I went in on the day that I thought that it was I would have been 6 weeks, and I was perfectly correct. I was 6 weeks on the 10th of December, so it's quite good because my weeks flick over on a Monday, which is nice. And when we were there, like when she just did the ultrasound on my stomach, you could see the baby like flashing, like flickering, and she said that that was its heart beating. And she reckons that its heart had just started beating because it was 103 beats per minute. So that was kind of cool to just, you know, confirm that that was all good. Because like I was saying before, it's just really weird how you just like do a pregnancy test, but then like there's nothing really else. Like, I don't know, you just kind of find yourself wondering like, am I definitely still pregnant? Is there still a baby in there? Because it's, I don't know, it's a really hard thing to explain, and I never like thought about it before getting pregnant, that, you know, you can't just like check on it and check that everything's going all good. Like, you just have to assume that things are progressing correctly. So it was really good to have an early scan, because at least in New Zealand you don't normally get one until you're 12 weeks. So I was kind of lucky in that way. So when I did have the internal ultrasound, she checked my ovaries and everything and said they were all good, and that I had ovulated on the right side. And she said, you know, when people ovulate, sometimes they will notice like cramping or something in that side, but other people don't. And then when I got home, I checked in my Flow app, and on the day, like around the day that I ovulated, I did actually log some like cramping on my right side. So I'm pretty sure that must have been me ovulating, which is kind of cool. And when I was getting the scan, she like spent a lot of time at my right ovary, but she hadn't looked at the left one yet. So I just thought like this was a really thorough check, I guess. But like, she was spending a long time looking at my right ovary. And then after she looked at them both, she said that she felt like she might have seen something on my right ovary, like possibly another egg, but it could have just been nothing, and she would get someone else to check later on and they'd call me back if I needed to go in for another scan. But I never heard anything, so I'm assuming it was just nothing. So then at 7.5 weeks, I had my midwife appointment, my first midwife appointment. Meeting her, I had found her on the Find Your Midwife like local page for my area online and contacted her. So it was good to kind of get some information from her about all that, because I don't even really know like what a midwife does other than it helps deliver your baby. But it sounds like you have a lot of regular appointments with them, and yeah, that went all good. So the next time I see her is at the end of January after my 12-week scan. She told me to book in for my 12-week scan and my blood test. Well, I can't book in for those, but to go and get blood tests at the same time. So she gave me all the forms, and then I rang up when I got home and booked the 12-week scan. So I'm pretty sure this scan and blood test are not compulsory, or maybe it's just the blood test, I'm not sure, but this is the one that does like the genetic testing and stuff, so a lot of people don't want to know that information or don't want to find out. We are going to do it. It does cost $50, whereas the first scan I had was free. So we are going to do that on the 22nd of January, I think. That's when I'm 12 weeks, and I'll get the blood test a couple of days before that. So that's basically where I'm at this stage, and now I just want to talk about some of the symptoms. I honestly haven't had that many symptoms. Been struggling a lot with hay fever issues at the moment, and I feel like I've been more stressed about that than pregnancy symptoms. So the main symptom that I've had, and honestly just the biggest thing at the moment, is insane fatigue and tiredness. Like, I am not a napping person. I don't like lying down in the day. Like, when it's the daytime, you're up and you're doing things, and then nighttime is for sleeping. That's just, I think I've always been like that. Like, I don't even think I napped that much when I was little, so that's just how I am. And like, Jordan will come home and sleep on the couch at like 5. I'm like, what are you doing? Get up. So it's just not like me to like nap or lie down or not, you know, I don't know, not have any energy. So that's been the biggest thing for me. I can't remember when it started. I think it started around the time I did the test, or maybe a little bit after. But I have definitely been napping like every day and needing it. So I reckon that's the biggest thing, and sometimes it's a real struggle. I'm like, will this ever end? Like, will I ever have energy again? And then I'm like, probably not, because after I'm not pregnant anymore, I'll have a baby, so I'll be more tired. So that's kind of annoying, but some people do say that from your second trimester you get more energy, so I'm hoping that happens to me. I'm really glad at the moment that I'm off work for a couple of weeks because of the Christmas holidays, so it's nice not to have to worry about feeling tired at work or anything. Then nausea, like, I haven't really had nausea, but I have thrown up and I have had a lot of like gagging, which is so gross. I think from about 6 weeks, which is normal, I started to feel real sick in the mornings. As soon as I threw up, I felt fine, but the problem was that obviously it was first thing in the morning, so it was an empty stomach, so I felt awful. I haven't thrown up for like 5 days now, so it's progress. And I found a way to help is, as soon as I wake up, I eat a cracker. I know that sounds really weird, but I think because it's like salty and just lining my stomach, it really helps. So I found that that's probably the best thing that I've done, and I definitely don't have it as bad as a lot of people do. I know that some people get really sick, so I'm grateful that mine hasn't been that bad. In terms of food, I haven't had any cravings or aversions or anything like that. The only thing is that I really want to eat everything salty, but I wouldn't really say it's a craving, it's just like a preference. I'm just preferring to eat salty stuff. Like, I've been eating 2-minute noodles, which I don't do, but I've been having to have like a lunch at 10:30 and then a normal lunch at like 12 because I don't know why. My skin has been pretty great. I had one breakout beginning of last week, but it cleared up and it's pretty good now. So I think overall my skin has been pretty good in pregnancy so far. Obviously that could change, but at this stage I feel like it's been better than it was before I was pregnant. But anyway, I think that's everything. I probably missed heaps, and I feel like I was all over the place in this video, and it's super long, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway and found it useful. Overall, I 100% think that metformin helped me get pregnant, especially as quickly as I could. For all I know, if I hadn't been on metformin, I may not have even had a period by now. So I definitely am glad that I did that, and if I have to do it again in the future, if we want more kids, then I definitely will. But just leave any questions down below if you have any. I'm happy to answer those, and let me know if you want to see more updates. I really don't know if I will do any or not, because I know there's a lot out there, but in saying that, I do love watching other people, so I know they are helpful, and especially maybe if you're in New Zealand and you're wanting to know like more localized information, maybe that would help. But let me know what you think. I know this is not really what my channel is normally about. Normally it's more makeup related, so I know this type of video won't be for everybody. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.